Hi, welcome to In a Pickle Knitting Vlogtober 26. Today is October 26, 2018. My name is Donna and I'm here with a short vlog that includes a seasonal children's literature book and a craft today. If you've come before and watched these short vlogs, thank you so much for coming again. And if you're new, I hope you like our book and craft today. So our book today is a book called Barn Dance by Bill Martin Jr. and John Archibald, and it's illustrated by Ted Rand. This is a story that is a narrative poem. It's entirely in rhyme, and it tells the story of a little boy called the Skinny Kid in the book is up at night while everyone else in his house is asleep, and he's listening to the night sounds, and he hears the owl whisper for him to come closer. And he does hear a little plink, plink, plink of the scarecrow tuning up his fiddle, and invites all of the animals to come for a square dance in the barn. So that is the barn dance. And I'll read you just a little bit here. You'll see our main character there. And it says, all except the Skinny Kid with questions in his head, much too much of wonderment to spend the night in bed. He was up, about, and listening. And that's when he hears the owl. Now he makes his way to the barn, and we see the scarecrow with the fiddle, and the animals. You see some harvested pumpkins, and out came the Skinny Kid, a tickin' and a talkin', and a hummin' and a yeein' and a rockin' and a sockin', and he danced his little toe through a hole in his stockin'. And this is a book really intended for read aloud, and it would be suggested that the adult read it aloud to themselves a few times. I'm going to show you some of the text, and you'll see that it has been written so that you can read it in the correct dialect with a lot of left off word endings with apostrophes put there. So it does have a little different sound to it. It's very lyrical, it's very musical, and it's very much a harvest time barn dance. So this is our book today, Barn Dance. And also it is a Reading Rainbow book, so you might be able to find a Reading Rainbow to listen to with all of the extra things that are added into those episodes if you were to read this and then enjoy one of the Reading Rainbow episodes with Barn Dance. So our craft for today, I was asked to consider coming up with something for Halloween that would be reminiscent, perhaps the way you use an advent calendar to wait out Christmas, but something instead to wait out Halloween for children. So I thought of something that I had made a long time ago, and that was a Halloween tree. Now the way that I made it, I used an old branch that I had found on the ground, and I spray painted it black and affixed it inside of a pumpkin that I had. It was I think a metal pumpkin, but it was fairly heavy, and I do not recall how I got it to stay in that pumpkin, but it did, and I used it for several years. But then, and we had little ornaments that we hung on, little Halloween ornaments. I think this was prompted by someone giving us this little bag of Halloween ornaments. And we needed to move, and no way that branch could make the move. And so we took it apart, and I've actually never put it back together. But when I was asked to do this, I thought of that tree, and I thought that, you know, indeed families are often held together by the traditions that we hold. And so if a family wanted to create a tradition of waiting through Halloween by adding something to a Halloween tree every day, that would be one way that you could wait out the Halloween event. So there's, of course, different ways that you could do it. You could make a lot of different things and allow something to be hung every day on the Halloween tree. But then I thought, and let me reach for this, that you could use the bowl that I made last week and buy some little craft kits that were appropriate for your children. So this is a little stained glass one. This is for children 6 and up, maybe even older after I read the directions. Or I found a lot of little wooden shapes that could be painted. You always have those little melting beads that make different things, and I made one. I made a pumpkin. So you could attach a little string, and this could be something to hang. So if your children are old enough to make those sorts of things. I found another little kit that had several wooden shapes, and you'll see there's a little hole in it here, and it has some strings, so you could have them to color in and write their names on the back. You always have the plastic needlepoint canvas that you could find designed to have a child who's old enough to do that kind of stitching, make little ornaments. So those were just some ideas, or you can buy them. You could cross-stitch designs and any way you might make a Christmas ornament in a crafty way, you could make something to go on the Halloween tree. And you could just make a bunch of felted ornaments or knitted acorns or knitted acorns and just hang something like that on your tree. Felted pumpkins, all sorts of ideas of things that you might then every day hang something on the tree. Or if you have several children in the family, you could have each one with an age-appropriate craft, or help one another with a craft to create one thing, and then the following year each person could hang their own things on the tree. I'm sure you can think of lots and lots of ways to use these different things to make a tree. So how I decided to do my tree this year was I went out, and my redbud trees always need some pruning, so I found a branch, and I think maybe a little too large, but you choose whatever size you want. I laid out some paint drop cloths in the garage, and I spray painted it with a black spray paint. Once it had dried, then I do have a glass pumpkin. It's about this deep, and I thought this might be a good way to, because it was fairly heavy, but I knew it needed to be even heavier to keep this heavy branch up. So I got some plaster, and it was I got it at Hobby Lobby. You mix it with a certain amount of plaster to a certain amount of water, and so I poured that in the bottom of the pumpkin. And the reason I did it this way, you could have just waited and put the tree down in, but I thought you lose the pumpkin when you lose the tree if you do it this way, if you decide you can't store it or keep it for the next year. So I thought I'd like to be able to take the branch out and maybe get another one each year if I can't store it properly. So I put a little plastic tumbler down in there and let the plaster build up around it. And then I put some heavy things in to hold it down while it was drying. And then I put some modeling clay down inside the tumbler and put the branch inside of that. So you need to get a good center of gravity and balance that, so the more plaster in there the better. Initially I did not put enough. I mixed 2 batches, but still wasn't, it was about halfway up the pumpkin. Above halfway would have been better for the size branch that I have. But if you have a smaller branch, you can do smaller. And I'm going to be, or hopefully I've already shown you some pictures of what I was talking about. Once it had dried and I was ready to start to bring it inside, I did fill in the extra space with some moss I had purchased in a package for some other kind of craft sometime. And I had 2 different kinds. I had the Spanish moss and then a green moss. And I just filled that in the top to make it look more natural and not like the plaster. I think you could make something to go over the top of it. A little skirt of some sort would work nicely if you wanted to go to all that trouble. And then I did string, I had 1 string of purple lights, and I did string that around. It doesn't cover all the branches, but it does light it up in the evening. So I already had a few things from that old Easter, not Easter tree, I have one of those too, the Halloween tree. I had some eggs that I had purchased. So they were done the way you do Easter eggs, where you poke holes in either end and you blow out the egg and then paint it. So these were painted, and I used to have 3 and 1 was broken. So I'm going to show you some pictures here of the 2 that remain. They both have spiders on them. And then I also have a little glass pumpkin and those same plastic Halloween tree ornaments that someone gave me so long ago when I first made a tree. I have those as well on the tree. So, you know, this is just an idea of maybe something you could do for, to help your children wait out the Halloween season. I have something very important to announce, which I've meant to do for the last couple of days, and I had forgotten to do it until I was uploading the video, and then I realized, oh, I need to pull a winner, and that is for the stitch marker set that I did maybe a week ago with the little acorns and the squirrel. And I did this morning and left myself a note here to let you know that comment by Diana Berry was the winner from the YouTube random comment picker. And Diana, if you could send me a message at my Gmail account, which is inapicklenitting@gmail.com, and just tell me in the subject line that you're the stitch marker winner, and I will get those off to the mail to you just as soon as I can. So thanks everyone for watching, and I do hope that I will see you again tomorrow. Bye.